Good evening to everyone present here. I, Runa from NASM, will be your host for today. We welcome you to the Masterclass hosted by Nagendas Khanwala College, Malad West, Mumbai. Founded in July 1983, it is one of the best colleges in the western suburbs of Mumbai and has been imparting quality education for the last 4 decades. The college is affiliated to University of Mumbai and re-accredited by UGC NAC with A grade. The college has shown tremendous growth in a short span of time and has been conferred with the autonomous status in 2016-17. Today's initiative is by NASM, a specialized sports management educator, which is a part of the education group that has been offering its services since the last 20 years. It has collaborated with multiple universities, colleges, and institutions in India and abroad to provide specialized industry relevant educational services. We are collaborated with Nagendas Khanwala College at Mumbai, Vivekanand Global University at Jaipur, Swarnim Gujarat Sports University at Gujarat, and the Dubai vertical under the name Nest Academy of Management Education with Bolton University, Dubai. Today we are in conversation with Mr. Abhishek Agarwal, General Manager, ITW Consulting Private Limited. He has diversified experience in verticals such as strategic brand management, development, and execution of integrated brand communication plans, creative campaign evaluation, qualitative consumer research, media planning, and so on. He also has major experience in activations and selling digital space in international and franchisee level in major cricket tournaments such as the Asia Cup, Champions League T20, and more. ITW Consulting Private Limited specializes in crafting and executing multifaceted brand management solutions across sports, entertainment, and media. Its vision is to utilize their passion and analytical knowledge of the industry to help a vast list of clientele to get involved in the business of sports. Currently being the General Manager for Cricket Sponsorships and Partnerships at ITW, we welcome Mr. Abhishek Agarwal to help us decode the secret sauce for sports sponsorships.
Hi, Runa. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Thank you, sir.
Hi. So I would like to start by telling a little bit about ITW. ITW is part of a global conglomerate, GSC, Global Sports Commerce, which comprises of 19 sister companies working together to ensure end-to-end solution in sports technology, media, and entertainment. With a global presence in 5 continents and 15 countries, ITW has expertise spread across various divisions such as sponsorship sales, talent management, league management, influencer campaign, brand activations, etc. But yeah, the main forte of business for us is to generate sponsorship and revenue for different cricketing leagues around the world.
Okay. So actually that segues us very nicely to the very first question that we have for you is what got you associated with sport cricket?
So it was the year 2013 when I got this opportunity to work with ITW. And from that moment itself, I knew this is what I want to do and grow as much as I can in this field. And I mean, cricket is something which is very dear to all of us, especially when I was growing up, during the late 1990s and early 2000s. Cricket was the biggest thing that you would hear about in sports because football and other sports that were there were not really accessible and neither were they promoted, to people that people will come to know about it. So, we have grown up playing the sport, and I guess the love for the sport stuck with me.
I agree. I'm sure it's a part of all of our fond memories. So then, how important do you think is sponsorship for both the sponsorer and the sponsee?
Okay, well, it goes without saying that no event can survive without sponsorship. I mean, there is a cost involved with everything that the organizer needs to take care of. Today, while we are watching a match on television and we are enjoying this exciting play going on in front of us, but we need to know that there are, the why how we are getting to watch it is because there are a lot of brands spending millions to advertise themselves in these events, and That's how a cricket board can organize these matches. Same looking at this from the other angle, it is very important for any brand to create awareness. That's the first motto of marketing, that you create awareness in the market about your product and your services so that you receive demand for the same in return and run a stable business. I mean, to give you an example, I can talk about Micromax. So when we started working with Micromax, I think it was during 2011 or 12. Micromax was a very small company at that time, selling very few thousand handsets in a month, and they started associating with us in cricket with very small properties at the beginning, and slowly it worked out so well for them. They till today we have had around 21 or 22 series where they were the title sponsor, and it worked out so well for them that they went on to become the most selling phone in India, beating Samsung as well. So yeah, I mean that's the impact cricket can create for brands uh, in many countries. That probably would be football, but again, in a country where it is considered as a religion, the impact that you can create with cricket is extraordinary.
Of course. So then, what factors do you focus on when you're interested in a brand? What is the suitability factor? How do you build credibility for it?
Uh, so, I mean, how we reach out to brand, how we target these brands, there are many aspects that we need to consider before we reach out. I mean, first and foremost is to understand the TG that your event is catering to. I mean, that kind of makes the job of finding brands a little more easier. For example, as we know, there is a saying that cricket caters mainly to the male audience. And again, I mean, the age group of people watching cricket is very fast. So for cricket, we need to firstly look at brands who are looking to reach out to the masses and also looking to create that awareness uh, for their brand. Now, why cricket? It is very simple. I mean, this is one event that garners around 200, 250, 300 million audience who are watching the sport, and doing so, they are watching your brand as well. Plus, I would say it's human psychology to like something that is associated with something else that they love. So cricket is something that they love, and when they get to watch the brand associated in the match, it automatically, first thing, the brand gets registered in your subconscious mind, and because we love cricket, we in turn create a good impression for the brand, in our mind as well when we are seeing the brand on television. So definitely, I mean, there are so many aspects that we need to consider while we approach brands. The TG being one. What kind of TG will the brand cater to? How useful or how impactful can it be for the brand? Is it the season? Is it the right season for the brand to advertise? And so on and so more.
Of course. So, of course, the kind of people watching would be your first go to the demographic, and then it goes on from there. So, what do you think would be a role or an impact of associating with a social cause also?
Well, yes, I mean that's very important. For example, let's talk about IPL teams. I mean, apart from all the promotions and activations that they do, there's a lot of CSR activity that's also done. And why is that done? I mean, one very important reason is that yes, it is our duty to help the ones in need, help nurture new talents, and uh, like I said, I mean, it's a duty that we need to fulfill. But apart from that, it creates an immense goodwill impression in consumers' mind for that brand. Like, say, if I have to talk about KTR as an example, they do a lot of CSR activity. And why is that? CSR, firstly, CSR activities is a very good promotional medium for a brand that they can take. Uh, Say, for example, today, if I get a notification on my phone and see it on or see it on Facebook that KKR is helping the ones in need, or they are helping nurturing new talent on grassroots levels, it immediately creates a good impression about KKR in my mind, and that in turn will encourage me someday to watch one of their matches. And what happens is, by that, the viewership increases, right? And at the end of the day, the more viewership they are able to garner, the better commercials they can put across for their properties in the market. So yes, CSR is a very important medium to take on for any brand. uh, and it benefits both parties at the end of the day.
It does have an impact. So what would you say is your overall strategy that you focus on when you're focusing on a certain brand for sponsorship?
Well, when I'm pitching a cricket series to a brand, I always like to do my research about the brand and understand their target audience and how they have been positioning themselves in the market, and try to figure out, apart from the branding that a brand will get during these live matches, what else can we do to make the association more exciting. So, so if I have to say, like in today's market, if you see the marketeers who are heading the biggies like your PNG, HUL, or the RBs of the world, they
Hmm.
want more than just the branding during these matches, right? Because in terms of brand awareness, their awareness ratio is already at the top. I mean, it's at 95, 96%. Everyone knows about certain brands that are very strong in their portfolio. But what they require is something different, something which can create a connect for their brand and the sport, which also helps in creating a lot of content around the association with these leagues and tournaments. So, for example, let me talk about Cycle Pure Agarbatti. So, it's a micro based brand. It's an incense stick brand, and probably in the right frame of mind, most people will not even reach out to an agarbatti brand, whose TG is mainly females, and uh, they will not, I mean, in the right frame of mind, you will not think that they will ever be interested to be part of cricket. But the idea that we had for Cycle Agarbattis was their tagline. I mean, the tagline is everyone has a reason to pray for, right? So what we did is we had an idea wherein uh, whenever there is a third umpire decision during a live cricket match, so everybody in the stadium, the batting side, the bowling side, or even the audiences, the fans, they are all praying for the decision to be in their favor. And at that moment, where the entire focus is on the third umpire screen, the TV feed is also on the third umpire screen, and a branding comes of Cycle Agarbatti with the tagline, everyone has a reason to pray for. It's a perfect connect. And the brand was very happy. And since then, it's been around 6 years. They have not let go of the property. I mean, they have really, liked the kind of integration that we came up with, and it definitely creates a lot of awareness and recall as well. Like, for example, I can also tell you about Swiggy. So we all know Swiggy. I mean, at the if you need to order anything in terms of food today, we have some other competitors as well. But this was, I think, during 2016 or probably 17, wherein Swiggy did not have any competition, and they were not very keen on the traditional way of promotion of showcasing their logo to the audiences. Firstly, because like I told you, I mean, they didn't have any competition. Plus, their market share has been really strong. So. What we thought was we had an idea and we came up with a property which is called the speed gun. So every time, if you watch a match, you will see, they show the speed of the ball after the ball is bowled. And
Yeah.
right after the speed is shown, it changes into Swiggy, changes into water delivery or lightning fast delivery. Now, this is something that really clicked with them because it's a direct connect with their service as well. They are all about delivery and they're all about delivering food or different items that you require. And it was a connect with the game as well. So, I mean, they really liked the integration, and it has really worked for them, and they've not let go of the property again. So, I mean, it's very important nowadays to uh, think out of the box, have a creative thought process, and understand that apart from the vanilla and traditional way of branding what you can offer to the client, what else can be done? How can we make it more exciting? So, I mean, we always try and think on these lines, come up with different connects, and come up with different kind of integrations that a brand would be keen to look at.
That was a very ingenious idea, and it's important. The trick is basically to find the connect between the customer and the brand, which is then how it will
Definitely,
take off. So
definitely.
then, so
I mean that.
Sorry. So, like
Yes,
you
please.
rightly said, then it's not just other than viewership. What else do you think a brand is looking for? When you're sponsoring.
Well, viewership is the main thing that that a brand looks at the end of the day. But there are other things as well. Like as a brand manager, I need to see that even though the sport has a great viewership, but is it really catering to my TG? Or even if I take this property, how well am I going to be visible on television in compared to the other sponsors that are also associating with the tournament? So I mean, it happens a lot of time that there are, say, if there are around 15 to 20 sponsors in a cricket tournament, it's very obvious that the major share of visibility will go to the title sponsor and the ones who are after that, and that's how the entire visibility grid is distributed. So this is a concern that a lot of brand managers and brand heads have, that what is the kind of visibility am I going to get? Is it am I going to be overshadowed by some other brand? So these are few things that needs to be considered from the brand side that they generally pick up. And are there any other major events coming up for which I would need to save my funds? Because as we all know, marketing budgets are very fixed, and it's not very easy to get additional budgets approved. So there is a lot that goes in making this decision apart from viewership as well.
Of course. Just before we go ahead, I would like to remind our viewers that after this, we do have a Q&A sessions. So if any of you have any questions at all, please feel free to drop it into the comment box. So the next thing we would like to know is, what is your opinion about athlete sponsorships and its influence on the credibility of the athlete's product endorsements?
Well, I mean, now athlete sponsorship are very useful for a growing brand, and it can really help the brand a lot. But again, it depends on the campaign that you design and the storyline of your campaign. I mean, the kind of message that you want to communicate to the audiences. For example, let's talk about Dream 11. I mean, the entire association one with Dhoni and the campaign that they came up with was phenomenal, according to me. Because if you remember the campaign, it was Bano Dimag Se Dhoni. And honestly, one of the biggest attributes of Dhoni is his gameplay and his strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, if we think about the India Park match in the T20 World Cup, wherein Misbah ul Haq was batting and he was in a good form, but Pakistan did not have much wickets in hand. And the last over from India's side was bowled by Joginder Sharma, which was a very big shocker for all of us. But it was the man Mahendra Singh Dhoni who knew what he was doing, and he had set the field as well as per his plan. And what happened at the end? We got that victory, which was unbelievable. And focusing on that aspect of Dhoni, about his planning and his strategy during the match, and integrating that in your brand communication or your campaign was an amazing idea that they came up with. The entire campaign of Bano Dimag Se Dhoni, and it really did wonders for them, because it was a great connect with the product as well, like I said. And if you see today, Dream 11 controls around 90% of the market share in the fantasy category. So definitely, I mean, influencer campaigns and getting a brand ambassador for your brand, it really helps a lot for the growing brands who are looking to create awareness. Because uh, just to give you another example, today if we tie up with Virat Kohli, now Kohli has millions and millions of fans who love watching him play, who love him as a sports person. And when he endorses a brand or he puts out content on his social media, when you watch it, if you are a fan, you automatically have a good impression about that brand in your mind. And you know that yes, this if Virat Kohli is advertising this brand, it has to be a good brand, and it has to be a reputed brand. So definitely it works out for the brand. Like I said, depends on the kind of campaign that you come up with, the kind of storyline that you are able to communicate to the audiences watching your campaign or ad.
The narrative, if we create a creative narrative, basically it helps with the campaign. Okay,
Definitely, I mean,
interesting.
The
Interesting.
brand face obviously helps. I mean, if you have a big celeb endorsing your brand, it's a very big
Mm-hmm.
plus point for, in terms of creating awareness about your product. But again, I mean, one of the very key point is how well you are able to conceptualize the entire campaign. What's the story behind it? There are a lot of brands who likes to take the patriotic angle and promote themselves by talking about how they have been supporting the Indian infrastructure, or
Mm-hmm.
how they have been a patriarch in terms of uh, how what and all they have done as a brand for the country, and they talk a lot about their contribution to the society in their ads, and that also works out very well because that creates a very good impression in our mind for that brand. So at the end of the day, apart from the brand face that the brands choose, it is very important to have a good concept and a good storyline for your campaign.
Very nice. So, sir, would you be able to guide us with the legal norms that are generally involved under sponsorship?
So, well, I'm not in law, but I will definitely touch up on a few aspects that are very critical. So, legal norms usually seen in sponsorship would be to do with the IPs involved with both the parties. How how are we using the client IP, and how is the client using the event's IP, right? And there are specific laid down guidelines, especially for the usage of the composite logo, so or the series logo, if I may say. So, say for example, we have faced situations wherein there is, so if you see any logo, or while there is a promotion going on for a cricket series, there will be two sponsors on the composite logo generally, right? So it goes like XYZ Cup, XYZ presents so and so cup powered by say XYZ brand. Now, in a
Right.
lot of cases, the powered by brand, because obviously they have also paid a lot of money, they spent a lot of money, and they are promoting. When they are promoting this association, they are not very keen on having another brand logo on their promotions or communication. And we have faced these issues in the past, wherein we have got a notice from the cricket board or the title sponsor asking us to rectify or retract such kind of communication, because it has to be a complete logo that has to be used in all communication, be it by the cricket board or by the brand. So apart from that, there are other many aspects that are there that we need to severely go through and make sure that uh, everything is intact. Like exclusivity is a very big point in the contract. Any brand that partners today with any sport are looking for exclusivity, so that no competition of theirs could come and associate with that same event. And that's a very major point that is always there in the contracts. And we also, I mean, ensure that all these points are checked severely, and uh, it is being communicated to the brand, and ensure that everything goes as it is supposed to, or as it is guided by the cricket board.
According to the regulations, etc. So, do
Exactly.
you think the success or failure of an event can affect the sponsorship in a negative or a positive way?
Well, yeah, that's a given. I mean, now, say when we are pitching a particular event to a client, we make a lot of promises to the client about the execution of the branding, and we always keep that up. But when a client partners with an event, they are spending money, and obviously they have a lot of expectations that builds up for the event, right? Uh,
Right.
it's like tomorrow, if you partner with an event, you would want the event to be the best always. But now, even if the event has done decent and not great, it is still okay with the client because he's not disappointed at the end of the day with his association, right? The better it is, the it's a cherry on top for the brand as well. But sometimes it can work for a brand, like a failure of a series can also work out for a brand, but that's like very rare scenario. So let me bring up the India West Indies series. I'm not sure how many people will remember, but in 2014, I think it was. So there was an India West Indies series wherein the West Indian players were not happy with the WICB, the West Indies Cricket Board, and
Mhm.
there were some disputes between the cricket board and the players, and it was very clearly visible on the field during the live match that the players were not happy with the board, and they were not ready to even continue with the series during the mid play. So if you would have watched the match, it was a shocker for all of us because it just felt like there was just no interest from the West Indies team, or no intent from the West Indies team to even try and win that match. And what happened was West Indian Cricket Board had to call off the series, and the teams were asked to return. So BCCI had to compensate that series, and we got Sri Lankan cricket team to come as a compensation series. And the brands who had taken up the India West Indies series are also compensated with the Sri Lanka series. So in turn, if you see, they got branding on two matches for the West Indies series. Then the same inventory, as the entire series was called off, there was no result, there was no winner. So the entire inventory for every brand was carried forward to the next India Sri Lanka series. And plus, what happens is, very rare, like I told you, it's very rare such scenarios occur. But when it occurred that time, the way they were behaving on field, it became viral. I mean, it was shown again and again on different platforms, news channels, and I would say that's added visibility for the brand at the end of the day.
To a certain extent, yeah. Of course, because things like this will become very popular, it will be shown everywhere. So, since you've already given so many examples and they were so interesting examples, we would just want to know what would you consider your best client experience?
Well, I have worked with so many different brands, it's hard to pick one. But if I have to go with one, I would say probably the integration that we came up with for a brand called Chrysal. So again, Chrysal is a spectacle brand, part of Essilor group, and their tagline is, live life in the clear, or let's get clarity, because again, it's a lenses brand. So the idea was again with the third umpire branding, wherein what we thought is, whenever there is a third umpire decision that comes, everybody in the stadium or the fans are waiting for clarity. So I mean, at the end of the day, what we thought was, when there is a third umpire decision, we will have Chrysals branding, because the entire focus of the game feed was also on the third umpire screen at that moment. So we had
Yeah.
Chrysals branding come up, and there was a nice tagline to it: "Let's get clarity." Before, when it says decision pending, and immediately when the decision was made, the next frame that comes was Chrysal live life in the clear. So again, I mean, it was a perfect integration of the taglines, of the brand motto, and the communication that the brand has been, pushing out to the audiences for years and years. So they were very happy with the integration. It was an exciting experience for me as well. Similarly, like I told you, Swiggy was one of them. The client. It's all about at the end of the day in sales. If the client is happy, that's what makes you happy, right? So
Of course.
one more example that I could probably say is the Oppo association during the ICC World Cup, which was in 2016, wherein we were managing the entire activation for Oppo, for their they had an association with ICC, and they had a lot of activation rights that they could execute, around the series. So there was a lot going on. I was in charge of handling the Kolkata venue, and it was the most important venue for the client because there was an India-Pakistan match taking place in Kolkata, and uh, the finals was also in Kolkata. And the kind of execution that we were able to pull, and the visibility that the brand was able to garner, the client was extremely happy. And at the end of the India-Pakistan match, they were thrilled, and they were just thanking us again and again for the wonderful match experience that they have had. Because I mean, the more visible you are in these kind of matches, It's an extraordinary return for the brand as well.
Exactly, more visibility, as you said, and we can see the happiness on your face. We can see how much you've enjoyed working for that client as
Definitely.
well. Okay, so with
Sure.
that, sir, the question on everyone's mind, I'm sure, is what do you think will be the effect of the pandemic over the sponsorship deals in sports? So, just as lately as you can see, if you can throw an light on the example of Vivo and IPL.
Well, I won't get much into Vivo and IPL deal because it just, as you know, there was talks of BCCI reviewing the sponsorship deal due to the current situation between India and China, and later, Vivo is not the title sponsor now, and there are other brands who are racing to get that spot. But I would say that the pandemic will have both, I mean, negative and positive effects on sponsorship deals in sports, because obviously the market condition is not good at all. I mean, many companies have bared massive losses, and the first thing that you do when you incur loss is you cut down the marketing budgets. I mean, that's the first thing that happens in any major company, who's faced major losses. So. The marketeers, I mean, who are heading these brands are being very careful because their kitty has been, uh, uh, I mean, the monies have been reduced, the budgets have been reduced. So they are very much careful in terms of where they would want to spend the money, and they probably would want to focus more on performance or targeted marketing. But again, they also know that there hasn't been any live cricket that India has played for a very long time now because of the global holdup, right? And in a country, like I said, where cricket is considered to be a religion, it is loved by millions and millions of fans who are eagerly waiting to see the Indian cricket team live in action. Uh, this will garner massive viewership and massive numbers for these upcoming events. And as a cherry on the cake, I mean, the first event that Indian players will be part of is the IPL. And IPL in itself is such a huge event. The kind of numbers that IPL is able to pull, the excitement that it builds up, amongst the fans. And honestly, if you see IPL, the concept itself has been a very big hit. Getting entertainment and sports together. Having different country players playing in one team, and it has worked well. It has worked really well, and went on to become one of the biggest cricketing leagues around the world. So, in terms of the number of audiences tuning in to watch, it should garner massive number of audiences, and so I mean, definitely brands would want to capitalize on that, and they would want to be associated with these events to reach out to the consumers.
More of a digital experience, also, they would probably be looking into that as well.
Definitely, I
So,
mean, at the end of sorry.
no, sir, please continue.
Yeah, so I mean, what I was saying is, at the end of the day, if you see, like I mentioned earlier, apart from all the other aspects that a brand looks at while associating with a particular event, one of the biggest thing is how many people are they going to reach out to with by associating with such event, and if the numbers are good. The event generally has no problems in terms of getting sponsors and getting brands to associate with them, because even though the pandemic has it has really uh, stopped the business of, I mean, many businesses have been stopped in between, and there's a lot of losses that have been incurred. There are businesses who have done well as well during the pandemic, whole pandemic situation, like probably the ed tech brands have been able to do quite well. And we have our Swiggies and Dunzos of the world who have been very supportive, I would say, to us, and they've been able to do quite well, I would say. So there are brands who have the money, and they would definitely want to capitalize on these events that are coming up.
Thank you, sir, for that silver lining in these times. So, we do have a question from a viewer. So, they're asking, when approaching a sponsor, How important is it to know the model of the company? That is, if it's B2B or B2C, does that factor in?
So that's definitely very important. I mean, especially say if I have to talk about my work. I mean, if I have to look for a brand to get associated with cricket, B2B brands might not be very keen to do so, because I mean, of course, their target audience is much different than what a B2C brand will have. So cricket reaches out to the masses at the end of the day, and a brand who is looking to reach out to the masses are generally the B2C brands. So
Right.
it's a very important factor to consider, while you are approaching a brand for sponsorship.
Interesting. As per you, this is another viewer question, sir. As per you, what quality should a person should have to find a sponsorship and create partnership in the sports industry?
What qualities a person should have? I mean, like I said, I mean, firstly, see, sales, generating sponsorship or sales is a lot to do with how confident you are about your property, how well do you know your property, and how well and how learned you are about your client, the brands that you're approaching. Right. So when we go in the market to approach brands, there's a lot of research that goes into it. Understanding the kind of audiences they want to cater to, understanding you know what how the brand has positioned themselves all these years, and will this association be of help to the brand, and how big can we make it. So I mean, in terms of qualities that someone should possess, we should you should be very well in research. You should research a lot about the brand. Confidence is definitely one of the major aspects, and I feel, if your property is good and you're able to talk smartly, you should be able to get brands interested about your property.
Research being very important. If you know your stuff, then obviously it will help out.
Definitely.
Okay. Um, okay. Another viewer wants to know if you think digitalization of sponsorships through social media or broadcasting will be the new platform post COVID.
See, I mean, everything is getting digitalized today, right? So, social media is playing a very big role, especially in today's world, wherein we are not really able to step out much, and we are actually, advised by the government not to, considering the current situation. So, I mean, yes, broadcasting on social media platforms will definitely become very big, but that's been happening for quite some time. I mean, even if a match is being broadcasted on Star Sports, there is Hotstar, on the digital bit. Or if a match is being broadcasted on Sony, there is Sony Live, broadcasting the same on the digital platform. So I would say that once the situation betters, and the situation is under control, uh, we feel that things will get back to normal as to how they were.
Of course. Okay, the next question I think you may have already answered, but how do you strategize and plan your approach when it comes to sponsorship to a certain team or a sport with respect to your target audience?
Uh, how do I plan my approach? So it's very. I mean, like I told you, I mean, I need to know a lot about the client that I'm reaching out to. I need to be very versed about the property that I am selling. What extra can I offer the brand? Is there any connect that I can build on for the brand and the sport? Apart from that, what kind of value additions can I offer to a brand? How will I be able to make the association that I'm offering even bigger than what it seems on paper? So these are very important things that you need to strategize, and you need to plan, and then approach your brand.
Okay, for the next question, sir, how can we get funding or sponsorship for a social initiative supporting entrepreneurs during COVID? Any strategies that you would suggest?
How do we get
So,
funding
if
for a sponsor? I didn't catch the question. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, sir. So it's how can we get funding or sponsorship for a social initiative which is supporting entrepreneurs during the COVID situation. So the social scenario being they want to
Well,
support entrepreneurs.
sorry, I didn't get the last part.
Sorry, the social initiative being they want to support our entrepreneurs, new and upcoming startups.
Right. I mean, how do we get funding or sponsorship for social initiatives? It definitely depends on what exactly is the initiative and supporting entrepreneurs during COVID. I do understand it's a very important thing because startups who had just begun their operations, say in the month of Jan or December or even November, they would have
Mm.
taken a huge hit because of the global hold up and generating sponsorship. I mean, if you want to generate sponsorship, there is something that you need to offer to the brand as well. So depending on what is it that we can offer, there are multiple ways to look at it. I mean, if we are offering if we are offering a brand visibility on a larger platform, say as on TV or on a hit social media show, uh,
Mhm.
then I mean it goes how we sell for cricket. It's more or less the same thing that we need to consider.
Agreed, agreed. Next one is also related to the same thing actually. How do you think a brand will be endorsed after this COVID situation, this pandemic situation? Since there are so many brands which are now struggling for viewership, they want to be seen. So, what do you think can they bring since it's a pandemic situation?
How does the brand will endorsed after the pandemic situation? I mean, like I told you, the next series that are going to come, we expect the viewership to be really, really high. We expect a lot of people to tune in because it's going to be live content after a long time, and everybody's craving for it. Especially the cricket fans who are in millions are craving for it. So we don't really see it as a big challenge in terms of getting sponsors or brands to partner with series like, say, an India Australia, which is coming up, which will be the first series that India will play as a country after the global hold up. So, yes, there are a lot of brands who are already keen in looking at partnership options for these series. And what we feel at the moment is, if there is if there are audiences allowed in the stadium during India Australia, that again will add on and help us more in terms of generating interest from different brands. But having said that, there are a lot of brands who are looking to sponsor the upcoming series like India Australia and others that are getting confirmed slowly.
Of course. Okay, so the next question that we have is from a viewer who has done their research. They want to know that recently ITW brings Skoda and MPL as shared sponsorship for the Ireland cricket team. So, how hard was it to bring this endorsement to the team?
So yeah, I mean the Skoda and MPL deal that we got for the Cricket Ireland jersey, it was definitely quite hard to get sponsors for a non-India series, and because I mean obviously if the budgets are cut with so many brands, they want to spend very carefully, and a non-India series might not be able to garner the kind of numbers that a brand would want while they are spending money in terms of audiences who are tuning in. So it was quite difficult, but fortunately we were able to have MPL and Skoda, who've been great supporters in cricket, have done a lot of associations, and we look forward to many more with these brands.
Of course, I'm sure that you would also. The next question, again, I think you may have already answered, but just to put it out there, as spectators are not allowed to enter inside the stadium, so will it become difficult to search for sponsors? Because, of course, they want maximum viewership.
So now, what happens is, I mean, obviously, this, right now, spectators are not allowed in the stadium. But again, I mean, the main aspect of why a brand partners with these series is not for the ground audience; it's for the TV audience. audience, right? Because in a ground you can have say a 35 40,000 audience watching the match and watching your brand. But when you go and talk, when you talk about the TV visibility, you're talking in millions, you're talking in lakhs and lakhs of viewers watching the match. So that is definitely not affected. That is actually going to, like I told you, we are expecting huge numbers from that angle. And having said that, yes, there are a lot of brands who want to capitalize on every aspects of their association, which you can say is also doing a lot of activations on ground with different, with the viewers or fans who have come to watch. So that's a backlash that we have to face. But again, I mean, right now brands are also aware of the situation, and it's not really under anybody's control. So they are being quite cooperative with the entire situation, and mainly focusing on the TV and the social media reach that they can garner through these events.
Correct. So, okay, so we have another connected question. So, how should a brand connect to bring more viewership? If you have any strategies for that.
I'm so sorry. Can you please come again?
Sorry, the question is, how should a brand connect to bring more viewerships? Connecting with their target audience. I'm guessing the viewer wants to ask. So, what sort of
Uh,
connect can a brand do?
See, I mean, if the question is that what should a brand do to, get more recognition than others, because like I told you, in a given match, there will be at least 15, 20 sponsors or 10 to 15 sponsors that are there. And if the question is that how do a brand stand out to, make sure that they are being recognized more than the others, I would say one of the biggest thing is, what kind of connect are you able to pull out. So for example, we had this property called the player profile. So while you're watching a match, every time they show a profile of the player, we have a space,
Mhm.
a branding space that can be allocated to a brand on the top of the screen of your television. So for that particular property, we got Naukri.com to partner again, which was a very good connect for them because it's the profile of the player. And Naukri.com, you upload your profile and you're looking. I mean the business is different, but again, the connect was very good. For the similar property, we have had matrimony websites come in. Again, for them also, it's a good connect because it is a profile of the player with all the stats and everything. So the matrimony connect that was there was a little quirky, and a lot of people reacted on it about how, I mean, obviously when you see a player profile and there is a matrimony brand on top, there's bound to have a lot of reaction from the audiences and fans. So I mean, yeah, that's it's very important to have a different kind of a connect, or at least integrate your brand with one of the aspects of the game, and you can really create a lot of impact through that.
That's where the main connect basically starts with. So these examples are so interesting. So I mean, the ideas that you've come up with are they are ingenious, they're brilliant. So in that note, what would you say was your most challenging project, where you really had to think out of the box?
Uh, so the most challenging project would be for me. It's hard to say. I mean, even though how we think about cricket, that it is the most watched sport in the country, and brands will be lining up to participate. Well, that's not really the case always. There are a lot of series where a lot of brands will not want to look at it because, say, for example, India versus Ireland, or India versus Afghanistan. Now these are series like, we had last year we had a India Afghanistan Test series. So I mean, when you talk about viewership, even cricket fans, they are very die-hard fans who will watch a Test match, sit for 4 or 5 days and watch the entire match, and the brand who is associated. So in terms of the numbers, it is quite less. Test itself, is not able to garner that kind of numbers what a ODI or T20 can. But when it is with countries like, say, India, Ireland, or in India, Afghanistan, who don't really have that kind of recognition, teams don't really have that kind of recognition, and a lot of a lot of key players from India will not even be playing those series because new talents are given a chance to prove themselves. So that does become difficult for us at times to find sponsors and generate revenue for those series. But fortunately, we have been able to get brands on board for all of these series as well, and we hope to keep doing so in the future as well.
We hope so, the same. And the ideas that you come up with, I'm sure that you will not be able to stop. There are going to be more successes coming up. So, other than this,
Definitely.
I would like to know if there are any other examples that perhaps you would want to share with the audience, or a piece of advice for the young managers and entrepreneurs that we have starting out in the sports industry.
Uh, So I would say that in terms of advertising or marketing, like I said, the most important thing, the first and most important thing is to create awareness. Once we are able to build awareness in the audiences, that is when we start getting demand in return, and which is very important. And brands who already have good awareness in the market, for them it is very important to create brand recall, because today if you see for one product, be it a deodorant, there are so many brands who are competing, saying that their deodorant is the best, or this has very less gas contents, or so many different communication that they put out. So being visible again and again to create that recall in consumers mind is very important for these brands. And in turn, for us as sales individuals, uh, we need to be very we need to do a lot of research, like I said, about our clients, and we need to know exactly when the client would want to advertise or when the campaign is going to come up. Different brands will have different seasons when they will want to advertise. Just a small example. Say a Daikin air conditioners in IPL. So they were the front jersey partners with the Delhi Capitals now. Sorry. So
Yeah.
but that was the IPL that was supposed to happen in April, and now because it is happening in the month of September, it's not really a season for Daikin. So for them, it doesn't really make sense to advertise at this point because nobody's going to buy an AC right now, right?
Right.
So they because they have a long term understanding and a long term partnership with Delhi Capitals, they were able to pull out of the deal. Another brand came into the picture, and most probably in the next association will again be Daikin. So it definitely, it depends, and a lot on the season that a brand would want to advertise on. And we need to make sure that we are talking to the right person in the brand. I mean, it's always best to talk to the decision makers so that you're able to move quickly on your proposals and propositions that you have to offer to different brands.
Agreed, agreed. And of course, to have a good relation among with the brand as well, with the client as well, because like you said, in this situation where Daikin had to pull out, is because they had an understanding that they were able to successfully do that as well.
Yeah, I mean,
So
for them, it doesn't really make sense to have the advertisement going on right now. I mean, definitely they can do it for the brand recall purpose, but again, I mean, will it be as much worth as what they could have garnered during the April season tour? So
exactly.
yeah, so they have an understanding with the team wherein they were able to pull out, and a different brand has come on board, and that's how it works. I mean, that's how the market works.
Well, this is very insightful, sir. I mean, we watch so many matches, watch so many tournaments, but we don't really know what is happening behind the scenes, you know? I mean, of course, we have a number of ads popping up during a show or during a match, but now we see why those specific ads are placed at those specific places, you know, to get the right impact from your audience, to get the right experience for the audience. Thank you so much, sir. This was absolutely wonderful. Our viewers, I hope there
And the
aren't any
pleasure.
more. Then we can wrap up this session. Sorry, sir, please continue.
No, I was saying the pleasure is all mine. I'm very thankful that you've had me on this platform, and it has been a great experience.
Oh, sir, thank you so much for this valuable inputs that you've given us and, of course, your time. Now, guys, if you want more information about NASM, you can follow us on our social media handles. Before I end the session, before we say goodbye, I would like to thank Dr. Mrs. Ansi Jose for her vision and opening the doors to a rising career in sports management to the youth. We wish to express our sincere gratitude to Mr. Abhishek Agarwal. We would also like to thank the entire team at NASM, VGU, SGSU, and NAME to make this entire series happen. And of course, a big thank you to all of our viewers, without your kind presence and for sending in some amazing questions. We wish you all the best for your careers. Stay home, stay safe.